Welcome to the Groundbreaker Podcast Series. This week, on this episode, our Founders and CEO series takes us to Portugal and back. Now, note that in 1992 is when the Yellow Pages touched the Kenyan ground, and since then, they've been here producing an annual print directory until 2014 when they transitioned to the digital platforms, which are various solutions that they are providing to the SMEs in Kenya and a few other countries across Africa. Today, we are talking about this journey, and joining us on the Groundbreaker podcast series today is Pedro Gomes, who is the current CEO of Yellow Pages. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, please, for those Gen Zs that do not know or did not experience the Yellow Pages from the onset when you had the book, could you please give us a brief background of what Yellow Pages is all about?
The Yellow Pages, the phone book, or going back, the Yellow Pages was the name that we labeled the phone book. Okay, and in the past, basically, that was the only chance for any SME to advertise themselves.
Right.
And because the TVs were expensive and they were not that broadcast, radios they were also expensive, then the initial presence of any company would be in our phone book.
Right. So this, how did that work in terms of advertising?
Any company would need first the phone line, right? The fixed phone line. They would go to Telcom. Telcom would provide them the phone line. They would subscribe the phone line, of course, and that would be the initial database of the business listings.
Right.
And then, of course, the initial business list was always free. Again, it still remains free. And but the companies, to highlight in comparison with their competitors, with the other businesses, they would start buying the advertisements, right? The 1Q, the half a page, the bolds in the name, and so on. That would be these first sites of the advertising.
Right. So was there a monthly issue with all these advertisements?
The book would be published always annual, in an annual basis. Along the way, or along the year, we would always acquire new clients, new advertisers. The phone book was distributed free, for 100% free. Then the business model basically would be sustainable with the subscription that we would charge the advertiser.
So annual basis.
Yes.
That means if I advertised with you at the beginning of the year, my details would be there throughout the year.
Throughout the year.
And if I came in the middle of the year and wanted to advertise, I'd wait for the next issue in the coming year.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting. What's the importance of legitimizing a business, and to why Yellow Pages at that time was very significant to the businesses that you're working with, and of course for the people who needed to find these businesses?
Just a remark, it still remains mandatory. For instance, for you to have a security certificate for your website, you need to be registered in one of the local business directories. Okay,
Right.
that's how they align the legitimacy, more or less, of the business itself, that it really exists and it's present in one of the business directories.
Right.
Okay, that's one of the things. Again, it's not any freelancer that would be able to register as a business, even to subscribe the phone line. Right?
Okay.
That's why when you would subscribe the phone line, legitimately and formal with a contract, remember the fixed landlines, they were very, very demanded, and all the requirements that you would need to fill all that contract was, it would need to be a company, a real company existing to subscribe as a company. And then moving on to our business, we would have that database. Either way, Telcom Kenya is still a shareholder of Yellow Pages Kenya, for instance.
Okay.
Basically, across all the other countries, we always partner with the incumbent telecom company at that time.
The next thing we are going to talk about is digital migration. How was that experience for you and the customers you're working with to be able to only focus on print?
As you mentioned before, it was an annual edition, right? And the dynamics of the market demanded, okay, we need to be more instant, more immediate, replying to the market demands. And the initial online was our online directory, right, with the yellowpagesKenya.com. It was our first presence online.
And that's in 2014, right?
In 2014.
Right.
Around that.
Okay.
We start with that. It still has a lot of traffic, basically, because even Google itself, they would have the initial source of data within our websites. Okay, then basically we were the ones who initially populate the Google search engines.
So if I wanted to still access
Then
a
digital,
print directory, I'd still get it
Of
every
course.
year, right?
Every year.
And if I want to go digital, I'd still go to the www.yellowpages and I'll find
.com. Yes.
it. Okay, good. So let's talk about that. You've been mentioning data in everything that you say. What type of data are you dealing with at Yellow Pages or in this type of industry? And also, can we talk about the importance of data, because we keep hearing every now and then how data is important.
Our initial data is the location or the name of the business, the location, right? That's the point, and the phone numbers. Right? Then from that moment, we start building up our business listings in terms of the emails, the websites, right? Once we have it, it's the social networks. Then you start topping up with the traffic that even the websites have or the social networks have. You start building up everything on the data, and you start analyzing even behaviors of the consumers of that specific business, right? And that's where we can apport value as well.
You work with SMEs majorly, right?
Yes.
Why the SMEs?
Okay. Because we believe that with our kind of products, okay, how we build up the products, we would be able to help more, to add more value to the SMEs. Okay. Of course, we don't. We always welcome even the big clients. Okay, let's be clear. But the SMEs, they have more limitations than the big clients, right? Than the corporate clients, right? And that's how we. Okay, with a small offer, it can really give added value to the business itself.
Okay, and when you're working with these SMEs, and I'd like to circle back to the digital platforms and all that, are they mostly on the digital platform, or they also still find themselves circling back to the directory, the book?
They are still present in both.
In both.
Okay.
Right.
It also it depends very much also in the region that we are targeting at the moment. Because if we are talking about Nairobi, yes, of course, Nairobi it's more digital literate,
Yes, it is.
digital present, and here the business they look more into digital. But if we go to even Kisumu or Eldoret or Nakuru, even Mombasa, you start realizing, okay, this significant, we are talking about 90% of the companies, they still want to be present also in the phone book. Okay.
Oh, great. So your business, the Yellow Pages, of course, it's built on the fountain of your clients. And I'd like to talk about the support that you offer them. And of course, that would include the products that you currently have.
On the products, basically we can provide the websites, the business listing management, okay, the SEO, the social media management, so on, in terms of the digital offer. What we start, and I think last year we start realizing that although the clients they have these offers, they have this presence, they didn't know how to get the most of it out of it. Okay, and we set up a customer success team. Basically, this team, what it does, it follows all the performance of this digital presence in the businesses, okay, within our clients. And then we advise the clients how to interact with the platforms. Okay, basically, it's not just advising, but we are also have a kind of an apport in terms of the digital literacy for the SMEs. Okay, because the first step, even for a successful digital environment, first it's internet adoption. Of course, they need to have devices, they need to have access to the internet. But secondly, the people and the businesses itself, they need to learn how to work with it. And we are having a very steady role here, a very important role in helping these small businesses to grow also within the digital environment.
Right. So let's talk about the platforms in particular.
Okay.
Earlier on, you mentioned tap and review or
reviews.
taps and review. Did you mention something to do with analytics? You also mentioned the Yellow Pages Connect.
Mhm.
Could we talk about those specific products
Right.
and their significance to these businesses that you're supporting?
Okay, very nice. Starting with the initial one, like we mentioned, it's the yellow
Yeah.
spot. We call it yellow spot.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the yellow spot, it's business listing management. Okay, basically, it's consolidating information and the same information across the main publishers. The main publishers we are talking about here relevant in Kenya around 10. We are talking about the Google business profile, the Facebook profile, the LinkedIn profile, the Google Maps, the other navigation systems, and of course the Yellow Pages. That's the first one. Okay. Second, it's to make it work for the markets. Okay.
Right.
And when I say make it work for the markets, it's having traffic or bringing traffic to that business. And how do we do it? One of the steps is the interaction of the business with their customers. And taps and reviews, it's exactly that.
Okay.
Basically, what we are trying to boost the the reviews on those profiles. Okay, it gives legitimacy to the business, gives also the feedback from the market regarding those businesses,
Right.
what they need to change, and I think it's very much important. This basically it's can be used with a QR code that we have in the business on the top of the counter, with the SMSs or email blasts that we can send to the client's database in order for them to get the reviews. Then we have the third step, it's the reviews management, right? How can businesses learn how to interact with the clients when they have, for instance, a negative review, right? What can they do? Do they feel offended, right? Do they welcome the review and they try to satisfy the client, to adjust their performance and so on.
Right. You've only mentioned 3.
Okay.
Is it just 3?
Then we move to the more deeper presence, the website.
Right.
It's the next presence,
Okay.
right? Next step, the website. How can I build a nice website, user friendly, that can get traffic? More important than get traffic, how can it can get leads for the business to perform?
Right.
Okay, I think this relationship between the traffic and the leads, it's a very interesting challenge, right? Because I can have a lot of traffic in my website, but doesn't bring me business. Okay, how can I have a kind of a quality traffic bringing to my website that allows me, of course, any business to sell, right? Unless we are an NGO, any business in the world needs to sell to survive.
Right. Great. So I think now we can move forward to other things that matter in a business, like leadership. And this is just now to help other upcoming businesses or startups to build on a foundation that's really going to grow and become something massive in their geographical locations or whatever they're targeting. So let's talk about that. What are your leadership styles that one could borrow from to assert in a successful business?
Okay. We always try to put an openness culture. Okay, for our management, we don't have individual offices, right? We work in an open space completely. Okay, it helps a lot the interaction even
Right.
between departments. Okay, we try also to reduce the tiers inside a structure. Usually by tradition, all the companies, even companies as old as ours, they were very much stratified, right?
Right.
With tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all the way to tier 10. Basically, we try to reduce the most that we can have, it's 3 tiers, right? We have the chiefs, basically, and it's transversal to all the countries. Is what we have a management team that it's exactly the same management team within the other countries. Let me give an example. For instance, the chief sales, it's based here in Kenya, and strategize the sales teams and processes across all the other countries that we are present. The chief operations officer is also based here in Kenya and also manage the operations across all the countries. Okay.
Right.
This means that okay, we give an international culture to the team. We also it's also helpful to unify processes instead of each company has their own specific process. We have one process that will fit all the geographies, and it's even easier to align with the vision, right? Because okay, if it's one person dealing with these visions, okay, it's easier to transmit the vision.
Right. So of course that also narrows down to business strategy, and good business strategy does help in maintaining that competitive edge, doesn't it?
That's for sure.
Tell us a little about
That's
that.
for sure. The strategy, it's a line of orientation. Okay. Of course, we know where we want to be in 5 years. Okay. But what happened on a daily basis keep changing, right? But we need to have the strong mind. Okay, to have that line, that goal at the end of the road. We need to be there, and regardless of all these changes, we need to keep steady in our way, in our path. Okay, that's one other thing. Even to help the recruitment or the newcomers in our team to okay, that's the path. We need to align with that path. To don't be a kind of rogues going up and down by themselves.
Right. And I'd also like to talk about challenges because there isn't any successful business that becomes successful without challenges, right?
Exactly.
Which are some of these challenges that Yellow Pages has faced over the years? And also, how do you overcome challenges in a business?
Our biggest and most famous challenge,
Yeah.
right, was the transformation from the print to the digital.
Digital, right.
Okay, we are one of the few businesses, and if we can remember a few, kind of Kodak, right, or even Nokia, that were very successful in the past. But even across the world, all the other Yellow Pages companies, basically what they were able, okay, they were able to identify, okay, the print is no longer sustainable on the long run,
Right.
and we need to start having other sources of revenue. And of course, we identify ourselves and starting with the business listings, right? And again, connecting business with their customers. That were always our mission, let's say it, right? And supported with that, we start bringing other services on top to allow the businesses to reach easier and successfully to their customers.
Future aspirations in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. What are we looking at?
Yes. Of course, the technology is always evolving.
Right.
And we need to as a digital agency, we need to be at the top tier of the technology adoption. With the AI, with the analytics, how can we work with the analytics? How can we work with more data? Okay, that's first step. Then, how can we make them useful to the businesses and to their customers?
Right.
Secondly, what we want to go across the borders, our current borders. Basically, we are already present in 7 countries, okay, but we want to be a major regional player in terms of the digital presence.
Great. So that's it.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us on the Groundbreaker Podcast Series. It's been quite an insightful conversation. Of course, just recalling the Yellow Pages. I know in the current world, especially for the youngsters, we do not know that Yellow Pages still exists, but it does.
It does.
And it's doing amazing job for SMEs. So if you're planning to start a business or a startup, remember, you can legitimize with Yellow Pages. You can do a listing with them, whether it's in the book, the analog. Do I call it the analog?
The print, yes.
The print, the print, or still, they still offer digital solutions. So do not be left behind in legitimizing your business. This has been the Groundbreaker Podcast Series, and our guest is Pedro Gomes, of course, the CEO of the Yellow Pages Group. Worldwide, can I call it?
No, regional.
Regional.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Regional group.
Yes.
Right. Great. Thank you so much for joining this episode. And of course, we'll be bringing you more episodes next week and in the future.